Hi, I'm Colbert, CTO for our End User Computing Business Unit at VMware. As you guys know, we recently closed the acquisition of AirWatch about 2 months ago. And since that time, we've been hard at work integrating our two teams. And this is a really big process. There's people, processes, organization, sales and go-to-market, all sorts of different parts of these companies we're pulling together. But today I want to talk a little bit about technology, because a lot of our customers and partners have been wondering, how is it that you're going to bring together these two great sets of technology into a unified offering? I'd like to start by talking about the end user computing landscape. And as you can see here, we have applications that users consume. We have those users' data spread out into many different data stores. And of course we have devices. In the middle of all this are the users. They consume all these different things and interact with all these different pieces. And ideally, what we'd have is a device where a user can seamlessly move between devices. Unfortunately, that's not really the case today. The problem is that desktop devices are much different from mobile devices in terms of the applications they support, as well as the types of functionality that they have. Moreover, for admins, these two types of devices have very different management models, which makes it harder to manage everything in a company's data center. So what do users and admins want? Well, users want to be able to take any device of their choosing and get a no-compromise experience on that device. That means being able to access all their applications and all their data, irrespective of whether it's a desktop device, mobile device, or whatever other type of form factor. Admins, on the other hand, want one place where they can go to manage all these different types of devices. Today, it's definitely not the case. They have different consoles, different management paradigms, and so they really like to bring these things together. Now, if we look at the marketplace, what we see is that today it's very much fragmented, that you have point vendors across the board solving different types of problems. And we feel that with VMware and AirWatch together, we have a real opportunity to have a comprehensive and unified solution. That's exactly what I'd like to talk about today. What you see here is kind of an architectural diagram, or maybe a marketecture, if you will, of how we see these different pieces of desktop and mobility. Let me walk you through what this looks like. So if we start at the bottom, we see the device row, and these are all the different physical devices that end users use today. Things like their Windows PCs, whether they're corporate issued or they bring their own, different types of mobile devices, either from Apple, iOS, Google's Android, or Windows, etc., etc. The next row up is the different applications and services that these end users consume. These are the things that they directly access on their device, either running locally on that device or off in the cloud somewhere. And as you can see, there's many different types of things here. They can consume entire virtual machines like desktops. They can consume Windows applications remotely or running locally. They can consume things like SaaS applications or web applications, as well as mobile apps. The next row up is workspace services. These are services that we feel should be common across any type of device, application, or service that an end user wants to access. So here's a few different parts. The first of which is a portal or application catalog that users can come to go to one place to access everything that they need. The second piece is, of course, a common identity authentication single sign-on mechanism. You don't want to have two different ways or many different ways of authenticating to get access to different services. You want to go to one place, authenticate once, then get access to everything. Above that, we have what we call enterprise file sync and share, or data, files, etc. And users today have gotten used to the notion that, hey, with Dropbox and other sorts of functionalities, I can get access to all my files across any device. The problem, though, is that many of these sorts of consumer-oriented products aren't secured and thus aren't really available or usable by the enterprise. And finally, we have social. Social with our product called Socialcast, where users can come and collaborate and interact. And again, the idea here is that it should be available across all devices. The next line up is the management piece. And as you can see here, we have a few different products on the desktop side for doing management. Things like Mirage for managing physical devices, View for managing virtual desktops, and then Workspace for managing access to applications and other services. And on the mobile side, of course, we have AirWatch, the comprehensive management for all mobility. Now, what you can see here today is that there are two different silos. There's a desktop silo and a mobility silo, and our goal is to bring those together. The good news is that there's a lot of clear integration points that jump out visually when you look at this diagram. And so what I'd like to do is talk through how we're going to integrate at each of those places. First, let's start off with end users. What do end users want? Again, they want one place to go to get access to everything, right, across any device. And so today we have something called Horizon Workspace. It's a product that has a portal, an app catalog, single sign-on, many other features. This is really powerful because it means a user can go there to get access to anything they need. We actually use this internally at VMware and love it. It makes our lives so much easier as end users. But the big thing missing from Horizon Workspace today is mobile applications. And so what we see is this opportunity to integrate in AirWatch's mobile applications directly into Workspace so that a user can go to one place, irrespective of the device they use, to see all the different apps that they can get access to. So let's take a look at how this fits together for the end user piece. So the first thing we need to do, as I said, is have a unified portal and application catalog. And this is what we can do with Horizon Workspace, as we just saw. But of course that's no good if you have to log in multiple times across all these different pieces. So of course we need an integrated identity, authentication, single sign-on service across desktop and mobility. Similarly, we need one place to go to get access to all your files. Today you may need to use different types of things depending on which device you're using. What we want is, again, one thing that you can go and get access to see all your data, irrespective of device. Let's talk about social for a moment. Today, social is a place that you go. Socialcast is a website, just like Facebook or Google. It of course has a mobile app as well, but it's still a place that you go. And what we'd like to be able to do is transition that into a property of things. Social should be embedded in all the different applications and services that you use, as well as the devices that you have. For instance, if you think about files and data, and you can embed social information in there to understand who's been using them. You can get a better idea of who to collaborate with on a certain topic from that information. Or you might take a desktop. Just like you have new messages popping up from Outlook or whatever email program you use, you might also see your social stream information popping up to alert you that, hey, something's going on within the social environment. So we see this opportunity to really embed social across all the different aspects of an end user's world, not just have it be a place that you go. So that's what we see as the real opportunity for enabling the end user to have this one thing they can go to, irrespective of device, to get access to all the different applications and services that they want to use. So that's great for end users, but let's talk about admins. Now, what do admins want? As I said before, they want a single management paradigm for all these different devices. And I think we have a real opportunity here with the mobility management paradigm that AirWatch brings. If you talk to any AirWatch customer, they love the simplicity of the product. It's a really strong product with broad support across all sorts of different devices, but at the same time, it's very easy to use. It's very easy to administer. And the reason is that, in the end, with mobility, you're dealing pretty much with three things. You've got users, you have policies, and sometimes policies can be predicated on specific devices, and you have applications and content. And so really it's about managing those three things and mapping them to each other. And so we can take the simplicity of that and apply it to everything. I think that's a huge win. The problem today, though, is that desktop is not there. Desktop management today is extraordinarily complex. And the reason is that Windows itself is a complex operating system. It doesn't have some of the containerization and isolation properties of iOS. I like to actually describe Windows as a bit of a hairball, that when you install an application, it just tattoos the system. It installs registry keys, it installs DLLs. You get into the sort of DLL hell problem that you've heard much about in the past few decades of Windows, right? And so what it leads to is this type of image management solution for administration, where you have to actually go and physically install everything together to make sure that it works. This is not scalable, and this is not the future of management. Instead, what we need to do is take a couple of important new technologies to break up Windows first into discrete layers. Essentially, separate out the base Windows image from each application so that those applications can then be dynamically composed. Similarly speaking, you need to take all the user data and break that up to more fine-grained separation. So you may have browser history, you may have settings around your network, VPN, etc. You may have other sorts of application content and configuration. You may have your wallpaper settings. All these things need to be able to be broken up so you can granularly control them and set extra permissions, essentially giving that mobility type of policy management to desktop. So we see two key technologies there, being first layering and the second user environment management. So if we go back to our big picture slide here, what we see is that with the enablement of user environment management and layering to Windows desktops, we can allow them to be more easily managed in this mobility management paradigm. And once we have that, then we really do have this opportunity to have unified management across both desktop and mobility. And at that point, in our minds, the distinctions between desktop and mobile will actually go away. We can then just talk about end user computing. And that's huge, not just for us as a company, but for our customers, for our partners, and for the industry as a whole. And it's something we're so excited to bring you. The AirWatch team and the VMware team have been working closely together over the last 2 months, planning these integrations and working to bring them to market as quickly as possible. We can't wait to share them with you.